From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
Demonstrators have already gathered outside, but inside the White House, the president is about to make a decision that could have implications for decades.
Trying to get the lights back on, utility companies work around the clock after thousands of people lose power from the monsoon.
And Arizona has seen a rise in the deadly drug fentanyl, how authorities plan to stop distribution in the state.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Amanda Mason.
And I'm Maya Petros. Thank you for joining us. In just 1 hour, President Trump will tell the nation his pick for the Supreme Court. Tens of millions of people are expected to watch the primetime announcement.
Some pundits have already called tonight the most important decision in Trump presidency. And before that decision comes down, protesters representing a range of issues were gathering outside the White House today, as Pablo Bloody reports from our Washington bureau.
Whoever replaces retiring Justice Anthony Kennedy on the Supreme Court will give conservatives a majority on decisions, potentially for decades to come. But for the activists I talked to at the White House today, only one thing truly mattered: Roe v. Wade, the landmark case that legalized abortion.
You better believe that the Democrats ask their appointees if they're going to uphold Roe, and we need to ask our appointees, will you overturn Roe? And if they won't overturn Roe, then they're not fit to serve on the bench.
The future of Roe v. Wade is expected to be among the many contentious issues that the next justice will help the court decide. It's also among the most politically charged. The issue could turn away moderate Republicans in the Senate, where the GOP holds a razor-thin path towards confirmation.
I would not support a nominee who demonstrated hostility to Roe v. Wade, because that would mean to me that their judicial philosophy did not include a respect for established decisions, established law.
Outside the White House, judicial precedent was not on the mind of Sally Brooker. Even though she was there to press for gun control, Brooker said that she worried about how the next Supreme Court will deal with reproductive rights.
We care about women's basic rights to their body and reproduction. We're progressive. We believe in the rights of the people, not just the few.
But despite calls from activists on both sides of the issue, whichever judge is nominated will be unlikely to deal a fatal blow to abortion, according to Trevor Burrus of the Cato Institute.
But outright overturning Roe, I don't think is likely with any of them. It would cause too much public opinion to go against the court. We currently have 57% of people are pro a woman's right to choose, and having the court flip that around could delegitimize the court in the public's mind.
Not every case that the new justice hears will be a landmark. The Supreme Court today announced its schedule for the upcoming term, and one of the first cases that new justice will hear is an age discrimination suit from Mount Lemmon, Arizona. And of course, Cronkite News will be there to cover it. In Washington, Pat Pobletti, Cronkite News.
Once the president makes his announcement, former Arizona Senator Jon Kyl will then step in to help. Kyl is expected to serve as the potential justice's Sherpa, which means he will help guide the nominee through the process. Kyl will set up meetings with lawmakers on Capitol Hill and help prepare the president's choice for the confirmation hearing. Jon Kyl served 3 terms as an Arizona senator, and before that was in the House of Representatives.
Tomorrow is the deadline for the Trump administration to reunite some young children with their parents. All kids under 5 years old who were split up at the border were supposed to be reunited. That will not happen. The Tuesday deadline came under a judge's order. The Justice Department said in court today 54 of the 102 kids under the age of 5 will be reunified by tomorrow. Others have parents still in ICE custody. One child has no information on a parent. The federal judge who set the deadline says that progress is being made.
Senator Jeff Flake is weighing in on President Trump's upcoming meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Flake is worried about what might be said or promised.
Many of us are concerned, I certainly am, about the president's ongoing rhetoric that really demeans or ridicules our allies and praises our adversaries. And so this is part of a kind of a continuum, and yes, it does concern me. I'm glad that the president is talking to Vladimir Putin. I'm glad that he's talking to North Korea as well. But I am concerned, and I know there is concern across Europe about what might be promised.
The meeting between the two world leaders is scheduled to happen 1 week from today. And tomorrow, President Trump heads to Brussels for the NATO conference.
There has been a 3,000% increase in the seizure of fentanyl pills here in Arizona over the past 2 years. That's according to the Drug Enforcement Administration. Here in Arizona, the seizure of fentanyl powder is also up to 2,000%. I spoke with the Department of Public Safety and Special Agent in charge of the DEA about the rise of this deadly drug. The Interior Department seized 9,000 fentanyl pills on Gila River Indian Community during a week-long operation in May.
2 milligrams of fentanyl, just so people understand, it can actually be deadly. Some of our seizures have enough fentanyl in them to kill 500,000, 1 million people if taken in that small dosage.
The DEA sees small quantities of fentanyl come through the mail from China, but bulk amounts are now coming from Mexico. For some addicted to opioids, they have built up a tolerance to fentanyl, but to the average person, it takes 2 milligrams, the amount of 2 grains of salt, to be lethal.
Saw that we had an appetite for the fentanyl, and so they do what they always do. They develop the means to mass produce it.
To tap into the American opioid epidemic, cartels are starting to make fentanyl in pill form.
Because some people are more comfortable with taking pills as opposed to injecting. And they're used to the pills, and we're so addicted to the prescription opioids that they create these counterfeit pills that look like OxyContins or they look like Hydros, and they ship them across so that people are more comfortable taking it.
For law enforcement, drug seizures are more dangerous than ever. Fentanyl in powder form, if inhaled or touched, can be deadly.
Traffic stop. It's become so dangerous and so common that we can't even handle it. We're not allowed to touch it. We've had to put policies in place to keep troopers from any type of white powder or anything like that from touching that, because we just don't know what it is until it's tested. On top of that, actually our canines now are also in danger, our dogs. So not only the handlers, but the dogs themselves. And our handlers have now been trained and now use Narcan for their dogs in case of accidental overdoses.
Special Agent Coleman says Arizona is the trendsetter for drug trafficking.
If you want to see what's going to happen in the rest of the country, watch what happens in Arizona first.
Now, overdoses from fentanyl are on the rise. Deaths doubled from 2016 to 2017 nationally, reaching more than 20,000 according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
The American Red Cross is facing an emergency blood shortage. They spoke with reporter Emily Richardson about how the 4th of July week accelerated the emergency status.
During the holiday week, the Red Cross had 550 fewer blood drives than a typical week, resulting in a decline of donations. According to the Red Cross, blood donations are always down during the summer due to people vacationing, but the 4th of July week created a dire situation. Every 2 seconds, someone needs blood, and Rita J. Vicky with the Red Cross says that right now, hospitals are using the blood at the same rate that it is coming in. Emergency surgeries never take a break, and it is important for citizens to donate blood so that they can save a life.
For one little second of pain, maybe, you can save up to 3 lives. So the pain associated with saving 3 lives is minimal.
Over the last 4 years, the American Red Cross has seen a decline of 80,000 new donors per year. People can donate blood every 56 days and make appointments on the American Red Cross's app. Emily Richardson, Cronkite News.
One Phoenix doctor is using deep brain stimulation as a treatment option for various conditions like Alzheimer's and obesity. Cronkite News reporter Taylor Marie sat down with a patient with Parkinson's who underwent the procedure.
Before going through a deep brain stimulation, Bill Barta struggled with Parkinson's disease.
The biggest struggles are just dealing with the day-to-day kind of things that you have to do. Brushing your teeth, combing your hair, buttoning buttons.
After he went through the elective surgery, Barta noticed improvements.
I'm 6 months out. I would do it over again 10 times.
Doctors implant electrodes to stimulate specific areas of the brain, which helps a patient to be in better control of physical movements.
The risks can include things like a bleed in the brain, so that is a risk. Swelling in the brain, while rare, they can happen and certainly are part of what a patient has to understand before deciding to proceed.
There's other risks such as infections, problems with the electrical circuitry, and seizures. Bureau Institute is researching whether deep brain stimulations could help with other disorders. 2
of the areas that we're most excited about so far as new indications and new directions are treating cognitive disorders like Alzheimer's disease, dementia.
And aside from those, another target will be appetite disorders. In Phoenix, Taylor Marie, Cronkite News.
We are 12 weeks from Election Day.
And we'll be voting on much more than congressional and gubernatorial races. Coming up on Cronkite News, a critical vote on funding public schools, why you can soon expect to see yellow stickers all across the state.
And the power of the monsoon, people are picking up the pieces after strong storms hit part of the valley.
I'm Judy Woodruff, anchor and managing editor of the PBS NewsHour. The journalists of tomorrow face a fast-changing media landscape, but quality news remains vitally important to our communities, our country, and our world. At ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, students learn solid, reliable reporting, holding the powerful accountable, and rebuilding the public's trust. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
I'm Ted Simons, host and managing editor of Arizona Horizon. The 2018 election season has arrived. Join us for primary and general election debates. Right here, meet the candidates and hear their positions. Arizona Horizon, your source for what matters most this election season. Only on Arizona PBS.
Millions of people die every year from drinking dirty water. I would never have felt I had the ability to do something without ASU pushing me. We built filtration systems out of local materials with the people. To see those kids drink clean water for the first time, it's the most rewarding feeling that you can ever have. I went to ASU because I wanted to change the world. The thing I never would have expected is how the world would have changed me.
I'm Ted Simons, host and managing editor of Arizona Horizon. The 2018 election season has arrived. Join us for primary and general election debates. Right here, meet the candidates and hear their positions. Arizona Horizon, your source for what matters most this election season. Only on Arizona PBS.
Save Our Schools Arizona continues to encourage voters to vote against Proposition 305 on the November ballot. Reporter Gabrielle Bacata shows us how this group is using stickers to spread the word.
Prop 305 is the expansion of empowerment scholarship accounts, which would make it possible for all public school students to apply for the voucher program. Those against Prop 305 say expanding this program will not be beneficial for public education.
I think homecoming!
Save Our Schools Arizona is taking their effort to the streets with their Stickers for Schools event. Cars pulled into the Phoenix Public Market this morning where volunteers were waiting to place Vote No on 305 stickers on cars.
Pretty soon you should see these bright yellow stickers all around the state.
As of now, the ESA program allows for students with disabilities to opt out from going to public school and instead receive funding from the Arizona Department of Education to pay for a charter school. Chairwoman of Save Our Schools Arizona, Beth Lewis, says the ESA program is removing money from public schools when they need that funding.
We're investing in our public schools. This isn't a time to take more money out and give it to private schools.
As a public elementary school teacher, Lewis says the ESA program expansion would affect the students in her classroom.
Every single resource that we get to use to educate children is given to us by the state and by taxpayer funds. So every time that a new voucher is used, that money is being taken directly away from my students.
The Arizona Free Enterprise Club supports passing Prop 305. They released a statement that says, these education decisions are made for countless reasons, but the important point is they are being made by parents, not lawmakers, district officials, or bureaucrats. That is why Prop 305 is a winner for Arizona. This measure offers one more option for parents to consider when choosing a school for their children. Voters will see Prop 305 on the ballot this November. According to Ballotpedia, if the expansion passes, it would take place over the next 4 school years. Gabriela Becerra, Cronkite News.
As the world watches on, 8 boys have been rescued from a flooded cave in Thailand, but the dangerous operation is not over. 4 boys were rescued earlier today. They were brought to a hospital to be treated. Now, 4 others were rescued on Sunday. Hospital officials say all of the boys rescued appear to be in good spirits. They'll all be treated as disaster victims. 5 people, including the coach, are still waiting to be rescued. Right now, crews are working to replace oxygen tanks in the 2.5-mile escape route of the flooded cave. And here's the timeline of the rescue mission. 2.5 weeks ago, the boys and their coach were reported missing. The next day, officials found evidence that the team entered the cave. On June 28th, rescue attempts halted because of cave flooding, and a week ago, the team and coach were found alive.
This time of year, Arizona is no stranger to the scorching hot temperatures.
But the heat isn't the only danger we face. Coming up on Cronkite News, a look at just how destructive the wind can be as the monsoon pummels one Arizona community.
And the temperature right now is 105 in Phoenix. We'll give you an update on your air quality alert.
I'm Matt Berry, ESPN Sports Center anchor and graduate of ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. With its bachelor's and master's degrees in sports journalism, the Cronkite School is preparing the next generation of sports journalists to tell stories that matter, stories that excite, inspire, and inform. Cronkite immerses students in covering sports at all levels in one of the country's top sports markets. It's this hands-on experience under the guidance of award-winning sports media veterans that shape the top journalists of tomorrow.
By the year 2050, there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish. Before Professor Halden, I had an insane amount of passion, but I almost felt helpless because I didn't know how to use it. Professor Halden gave me a chance to make a difference. Being at a place like ASU allows you to take these big leaps. Ultimately, the biggest problems in the world cannot be solved alone.
Hello from the children of planet Earth.
Exploring, it's the lifeblood of the mission.
Human beings are a curious bunch.
What are we going to see when we get really close?
Just because an idea is crazy, it's not necessarily wrong.
We were on our way.
You don't get anywhere until you've tested the limits.
That carries an intensity you can't imagine.
You could hear people just, whoa.
Oh my God, absolutely spectacular.
It's a rush.
We ask a lot of our heroes.
We are at a remarkable moment.
We're going farther than any exploration ever has.
Approximately 30,000 people lost power in Los Angeles over the weekend. A record heat wave in Southern California forced residents to use more electricity, which then led to power outages. Los Angeles officials are urging people to reduce their electricity use and not put the thermostat below 79 degrees. Power is expected to be fully restored by tomorrow. Now here in Arizona, the monsoon knocked power out for thousands last night in the West Valley. It was a stark reminder of just how dangerous the summer storms can be at any moment. Kevin Fleischman just returned from Buckeye after seeing the damage there firsthand.
Last night, the city of Buckeye experienced power outages from the first monsoon storm of the year. According to APS, an estimated of 14,000 customers lost power due to the storm. You could see power poles lean over, some went all the way to the ground. During the height of the storm, those without power say they just closed up their doors and windows, trying to keep what cool air they had inside. Residents who were still dark this morning were able to pick up ice to keep food cold. Meanwhile, APS crews worked to get the grid back up.
Some strong winds, it appears, took down many of our structures, both on the distribution and on the transmission system. So we got called out last night and we began power restoration.
At last check, there were just a handful of customers still without power. In the broadcast center, Kevin Fleischman, Cronkite News.
Now, storms changes continue in our forecast as monsoon moisture remains in place across our state. Amanda's in our weather center with what we can expect. Amanda?
Yeah, Mai, well, right now it's around 105 degrees. You're going to see some temperature droppings, especially after all of the rain that we're potentially going to get tonight. But the air quality alert is really what we need to be focusing on because it is dangerous outdoors, especially for those who are in the unhealthy sensitive group. But it's also hazardous in other areas of the state. So make sure if you go outdoors, you're not breathing as much of the air as possible. Stay indoors if you can. Don't go out exercising outside. It's important to stay as healthy as possible. But what we can see right here is that we're going to have about a 40% chance of rain. And this is kind of the temperature and the weather that you're going to see over till around Tuesday at 4 p.m. But let's take a look at your 7-day forecast because this is what's going to give you a heads up of what's going on this week. Now we have 99 degrees starting tomorrow, but you can see all of this is cloudy and shaded and the temperatures are dropping a little bit earlier this week, but we'll have more for you tomorrow. Amanda Mason, Cronkite Weather.
New limits for heat exposure may be needed to protect outdoor workers nationwide. According to a new study from the CDC, the current 91-degree threshold for workers to be at risk of heat-related illness may be too high. The report suggests that even at 85 degrees, workers are at risk of dying. Researchers suggest employers prioritize extra protection for workers, including having plenty of cold water and beverages high in electrolytes on hand, and scheduling frequent breaks in shade or air conditioning. Coming up next on Cronkite News, a program aimed at helping people develop and boost the skills they need in the new economy.
Join us each week on Catalyst, the show that explores new advancements, technologies, and innovations at Arizona State University that are shaping the future for tomorrow and beyond. Catalyst, Wednesdays at 9, right here on Arizona PBS.
I like working for Cronkite News because it gives us the opportunity to find a different angle on the same stories that every other news outlet is covering across Arizona. As students, we have the opportunity to cover issues all across the state of Arizona.
It gives me a good chance to sharpen my skills, improve my skills, learn the techniques in a newsroom and in the programs and teamwork and technology, getting me prepared for the real world. And at the same time, I think we do a great job, make some great stories, do great journalism for the city of Phoenix and state of Arizona.
I'm Ted Simons, host and managing editor of Arizona Horizon. Join us each weekday at 5:30 and 10 as we bring you the top newsmakers who impact the state. We cover the stories in depth that shape and affect our local communities, and we take the time to ensure that all voices are equally heard. For more than 30 years, Arizona Horizon has been your voice and your source for what matters most, right here on Arizona PBS.
Small businesses are learning how to improve their digital skills and therefore grow their bottom line. Jordan Daphnis explains how Facebook is trying to give a boost to the community.
There are more than 5,000 small businesses in Arizona and more than 80,000 small businesses on Facebook. Many entrepreneurs are using these tools to grow their business.
During the recession, so Latino businesswomen actually started launching their own business because unfortunately, when the economy goes down, the first people that are fired or laid off tend to be Black women or Latina women. And they still have to find a way to survive and help their families, so many of them just started their own businesses.
And many at the Facebook Community Boost workshops today were focused on that segment of the population as well.
In the Spanish-speaking market, the resources aren't as accessible when it comes to learning about social media and how to market your business as it is in English.
Angela Solario says she's passionate about sharing social media tools with the Hispanic community.
Because I saw that injustice growing up, now I'm very proactive in being able to help my own community and translate the message adequately so that they can feel empowered and that they can make more positive changes.
Ray Barra-Maldonado says he is also using social media to make positive changes for the Hispanic community.
So the main way that we're able to get into our community is by doing live videos. Whenever there's a new issue, a new court decision, a new policy that comes out that's going to affect our community, we learn about it, educate ourselves, and then go live to inform them of what's happening and what changes are taking place and answer any of their questions.
The Facebook Community Boost event is a free event open to the public and will continue to run through tomorrow. In the Broadcast Center, Jordan Daphnis, Cronkite News.
Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg has just become the third richest person in the world. The Facebook founder has an estimated worth of $81.6 billion. For the first time in history, the world's top 3 richest people are from the tech world. Amazon's Jeff Bezos at the top with $141 billion, Bill Gates at $93 billion, and now Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg passed Nebraska billionaire Warren Buffett. And say goodbye to those popular green Starbucks straws and say hello to Starbucks sippy cups. The Seattle coffee empire has announced that they'll be replacing their plastic straws by the year 2020. Now, for blended drinks, Starbucks plans to use paper or compostable plastic straws. Starbucks estimates this change could eliminate the use of over 1 billion straws per year. Seattle Starbucks locations will be the first to discontinue plastic straws.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour.
On the next Arizona Horizon, we will look at a program that looks to help disabled veterans through Grand Canyon expeditions and how super-agers are defying memory loss. That's the next Arizona Horizon.
I'm Judy Woodruff on the next NewsHour special coverage as President Trump announces his nominee to fill the crucial seat of Justice Anthony Kennedy on the Supreme Court. Monday on the PBS NewsHour.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thank you for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.